A lot of young people don't know that there are so many possibilities on the continent for agribusiness. They think agriculture is dirty, but it's because they don't know. But what a big shame that young people from Côte d'Ivoire will want to leave when the agricultural sector is so vibrant, so strong. But they do not know that there are opportunities. In Africa, in terms of agriculture, we are thinking about trading with Europe and North America. No, we need to think about integrating our economies. Even within Côte d'Ivoire, for example, or in Nigeria, in Ghana, you need to have trades between communities. This is the first thing to do. For now, the value chain is very short in Africa. They produce banana, we get it ripe, and then we eat it and it's done. No, there's so much you can do. You can use the bananas to produce infant food. There's so many things that can create jobs that can happen.
Bonsoir, good afternoon, and we are in Abidjan at the moment having the conversation about financing agribusiness in Africa. My name is Rita from the Africa Discourse Channel, and we are going to be having a conversation around international agencies, their local impacts in the agri-finance business. So I have with me Mr. Joseph in the studios. I'm going to leave it to him to give us an introduction about himself, his organization, what they do, and then we'll get into the conversation in depth. Mr. Joseph, thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much. My name is Joseph Nyemah, and I'm the resident representative of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in Côte d'Ivoire. With the UN, and this is what I've just said during a very nice forum organized by the Africa EU Chamber of Commerce. Our role, the United Nations, always, we try not to replace governments. We are there to assist the governments to advance their agendas. So in the case of here in Côte d'Ivoire and on the issue of agribusiness financing, what I've said to the colleagues and to all the people attending this very important international forum, I see a lot of young people. I think the first thing that I believe is an issue is a lot of young people don't know that there are so many possibilities on the continent for agribusiness. They think agriculture is dirty, but it's because they don't know. So in the morning, I see a lot of young people in front of the Moroccan embassy, and they're trying to go to Morocco. But I do know that they are not just trying to go to Morocco. They want to cross the Mediterranean, unfortunately. But what a big shame that young people from Côte d'Ivoire will want to leave when the agricultural sector is so vibrant, so strong. But they do not know that there are opportunities. The other thing that I talk about that I believe that needs to be addressed is for investment in agriculture. I think is most of our people in Africa, not just Côte d'Ivoire, they are not bankable. A lot of people don't have bank accounts. So before you and part of the reasons why they don't have bank account is because in a lot of African countries, we lack traceability. The guys living in slums or someone living somewhere, the houses, the roads are not marked. How can you give a loan to a guy, he can change his location anytime. It's like working with a nomadic population, So huge risk. So governments need to invest in improving traceability. If you go to North America or in Europe, the bank is willing, just upon your arrival, to give you a credit card. They will trace you. You can't run away. If you come to Africa, then you will never go back there, So I was telling the colleagues, as an African minister, he went to Canada, he was a student, and the banks, he took a lot of student loans. After that, he came to Africa, he said, I'm not going to pay these guys. He thought it is in Africa. Later, he became a minister. And then he traveled to Canada, thinking that they have forgotten. He arrived at the airport, and the immigration said, come here, sir, you have to pay back, So traceability is something that Africa needs to invest in. Very, very important. And the other thing that can allow investment in the agricultural sector to work very well is you need to make sure in Africa, in terms of agriculture, we are thinking about trading with Europe and North America. No, we need to think about integrating our economies. Even within Côte d'Ivoire, for example, or in Nigeria, in Ghana, you need to have trades between communities. This is the first thing to do.
Okay.
The potential, we have the population numbers, it's on our side. So we need to promote internal trade, and then things will work very well before we start looking at trading international. But African countries, they need to work a little bit more, to promote this kind of trade, between our communities and between the countries. Thank you.
I think like we've all seen it that in Africa we have a lot of work to do, and a lot of young people don't want to go into agribusiness because one, it doesn't look nice, like they don't see it to be attractive. My colleague is wearing a suit and tie in the office. He's in an AC. Why should I be on the farm plowing the grass and then probably my colleague makes more money than me? So what are some of like the initiatives your organization does to make sure that we are getting more people into the agri business? And what are some of the funding opportunities or policies your organization has to support initiatives?
Thank you. The issue of agriculture being seen as a dirty industry is only in Africa, in many parts of the world. And it's something I spent 8 years in the Pacific, covering 14 countries, something that we had to deal with. One of the things that we put in place at FAO is working with schools. And you know, at a very early age, we start to let the kids know that agriculture is a business. It's not a dirty work, you know. So we try to, you know, like encouraging doing entrepreneurship education on school campuses. So the kids, we teach them to grow crops, and then they try to sell the crops and then reinvest the money, you know. So they start to understand basic entrepreneurship skills, you know, and then they just start to realize that agriculture is not just about, you know, cultivating or producing, but it's business, and they can understand profit making. But the issue of seeing agriculture as being dirty it is there. We have to address that. So what we did with young children also is, which is important, is to make sure that agriculture is digitalized, it's mechanized, so that kids start to realize that to do agriculture, you don't need to make it, like even to transplant seedlings, you don't need to use your hands. You know, there are equipments today, you know, you move around like this. You do digitalization. Agriculture, so you see drones and everything working, you know. Those are the things that in Africa we need to do to really encourage young people to understand that agriculture is not a dirty business, you know. It's a business of, you know, it's a clean business. You know, it's entrepreneurship that they can really thrive on. So this is the kind of things that we do from the side of FAO, trying to support young people to get involved. But also we are trying to help governments to convince them and give them policy guidance that can allow them to take credits from you know, from banks, development banks, and then the banks can give the money to communities, so young people. The thing is that part of the things in Africa, unfortunately, our governments, when they take loans from banks, they use the money for political purposes. So they make donations. Don't make donations. Our communities, the young people who are in entrepreneurship, they are not looking for gifts. You know, give them loans, and then they pay back. But this is the reason why in Africa our economies are not growing. The agricultural sector is not growing. The government's taking. A few years ago, I was in Malawi, you know, and I saw the government took a loan of $14 million from the IMF, and they were going to order to buy maize from Ukraine, from South Africa, from Zambia. Come on, man. You know, how can you take a loan to go buy grains, maize? You can use the money to quickly invest and create, you know, mechanized farms, and in 3 months with maize, you'll produce. You create jobs for your people. So our government needs to move. I know it's all over the world. Politicians, they're looking for quick results to get votes. But we need to tell them, man, invest in the people. You know, business is what we need to do. Thank you.
Okay. So I think when you were talking, you mentioned like the experience in like different countries and as compared to Africa. So aside innovation and then us being able to be sustainable, because it looks like a lot of the farming people in agribusiness are not bankable. Our previous speaker was mentioning something about them not being bankable. Aside that, are there other things you think we can do to be able to expand agribusiness in this country?
I think there are several things we can do. I think we need to have more engagement strategies with young people.
Okay.
You know, young people have aspirations. They want to do different things, you know. So we need to give them several things that are in the toolbox, you know, not just saying this is the only thing that is there, you know. So our governments really, and Africa, we are very lucky we have young people. You know, so what African governments really need to do is to have a very clear strategy how to engage our youth. You know, to explore and realize their aspirations. There are so many things that can happen because you see, when we talk about agriculture, this is why in FAO our Director General come with this term, agri-food systems. You see, so there are so many actors along the value chain. Some people are working on the farm. Some people are transporting. Some people are handling. Some people are packaging. Some people are looking at, transformation. Some people are just working on marketing. They will never see the food, So there are so many things that are happening. So you can see the cocoa produced in Côte d'Ivoire today, the farmer is there, but there's another one who can take it to the factory. There's another engineer at the factory you have food safety specialists, you have food safety, food engineers, food technologists, you have nutritionists. A lot of things are happening. So agri-food systems is just about working on the farm. You have people working in the industry who would never even touch food. They don't even see it, but they are working along the value chain. So those are the things that need to happen to expand. For now, the value chain is very short in Africa. They produce banana, we get it ripe, and then we eat it and it's done. No, there's so much you can do. You can use the banana to produce infant food. There's so many things that can create jobs that can happen. So those are the things I think we need to invest in Africa. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So my last question is, what is the future outlook for your organization? What are some of the initiatives you would want to introduce? Most of the times, these are the questions I ask. So when we come for conferences like this, we have the conversations. But what happens after the conversations? What are some of the action plans the organization is looking at doing to be able to support? Your panel discussion was on the 65 billion gap.
Yeah.
So what are some of the actions your organization is going to take to make sure that we are able to bridge that gap?
Thank you. I think we don't want to do many things. If you try to do 100 things, you don't have a priority. Yeah. So for here for FAO in Côte d'Ivoire, one of the things what we want to focus on is working with the government to make sure we create good policy guidance that can help them to make the right decisions. Okay. So we know very well that IFIs, the banks, are not going to give individual money. It's impossible. They're not going to do that. They'll be looking for individuals to give them money. No. But what they can do, governments need to take money from these IFIs, and then government give the money to these individuals. So what we are engaging the governments to give them good policy guidance, create good mechanisms that can allow them confidently to take credits, loans from banks, and then with a clear process that can allow the money to be channeled to young people, entrepreneurs in communities. Okay. Yeah. So this is our clear focus. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
So just following up on what you said, if I'm to understand it, your organization works directly with the government, not with the individuals. So if we need support from your organization, we need to go through the government.
Yeah. I mean, we work with both. The government is our prime partner because we are not here to create new objectives. We are in countries to advance government's objectives. So that's the reason why I have to listen. We have to listen to the ministers, the prime minister, the president, to see what they want to do. Right. We can't bypass them. Having said that, we talk to community groups. So we have a lot of projects that we do directly working with communities, but also we work in hand. 2 days ago, I was on the field working with some young people that we are supporting who are involved in aquaculture. We work with them. So we do that. We try to engage, but mainly our engagement with government is to make sure that whatever we do on the field advances their policies. That's what we are doing. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't take much of your time.
Okay.
I just want to ask for your last words, if there's anything you want to share with our audience before we wrap up.
Well, I think I'm very happy that this kind of forum is happening. And I see a lot of young people here. I think we have to keep doing what we are doing, until we can get the results we need. Africa has got so much potential. Let's try to invest in agribusiness, because in Africa, it's a big chunk of our economy. And we should advocate, encourage our governments to embrace a business model for development in Africa. And we will pick up, It will not help Africa. A lot of African countries, they spend their time trying to beg for money. No, you have the development banks here, they have money. They're not going to give you aid. It's business. That's what we need to do. Forget about begging for money, and giving free money out. We don't need that in Africa. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. So guys, that was Mr. Joseph, the representative, Nyemah, the representative for FAO in Côte d'Ivoire. We've had an amazing conversation with him, and we are looking forward to speaking to more people. Do stay tuned, and then we'll bring you more updates. Thank you.